Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are joining us from. We are here today with the fine folks from Kaseya. We're joined with Michael DePalma. He is the Vice President of Business Development. We've got Miles Walker, who is the Channel Development Manager, and Brian Doty, who is also a Channel Development Manager. Welcome, everyone.
Hey, Scott. Thanks for having us on.
I appreciate everybody joining us today. I think we're all from different parts of the world now. Well, actually, most of us in the U.S., but Miles, you're in Canada, right?
Yeah, I just got out of the igloo. I got some great internet here. It's going good.
Awesome. Well, I've seen some pictures of your place in Canada. It's really, really awesome. I bet it's cool at night with the lights.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Got a nice view up here.
Awesome. Well, I have to come visit you one day and take a look at it. It seems really cool. Michael, you are in Connecticut, right?
I'm in Norwalk, yeah. So suburb of the city, the old Datto office. So lucky, it's right in my backyard.
All right. What's the weather like today in Norwalk?
It is still hot. It's 95. We went the whole summer without any heat. It was pretty good. And then the last week, I jinxed it by telling people, bragging about how we haven't had hot weather.
So you had a pretty mild summer?
Yeah, it was pretty nice all summer. And,
all right.
Just humid and 95, so it's brutal.
I have felt that all summer here in South Carolina. So, and Brian, where are you located at?
So I'm in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So I'm one of the lone employees. I think there might be two of us, maybe three in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, we're looking at the Kaseya Pittsburgh office right there.
That's right.
Awesome. Right. So your weather is probably more like Michael's weather in Connecticut.
Yeah, it's finally cooling off a little bit. I think we'll hit like 82 or something today, but it's so humid. I think that's the big thing. It's so humid. You just wear it as soon as you go outside.
I know. I think we have maybe another month of the oppressive heat, and then I think it's all downhill from there, and we hopefully should all get a little relief. So.
Yeah,
well, good deal. Well, lots of big news at Kaseya. We've got some recent acquisitions. Can we talk about Vonai and Audit? Did I pronounce that right? Vonai?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So yes, we announced those acquisitions at Connect Global back in Vegas in April.
Okay.
And Vonai is an automated pen testing company. That company actually has doubled in size since we made the acquisition. It's one of those things that the channel didn't really have. So it's HIPAA compliant, allows you to run automated pen tests, get the results back in 48 hours. It's backed by a team down in where are they at? New Orleans,
Austin.
Yeah, I know the founders from Louisiana. So it's been really good. And then Audit is essentially a sales tool. It'll allow you to put information about a prospect into a form, and it spits out a very beautiful kind of bound presentation, and it just scores you on different things, security, and it graphically will show red, yellow, green. So for an end user who doesn't want to read a 30-page thing, just show it to me. Everybody understands that. That was actually a few partners a few years back, so it's kind of cool to see it. But I know you guys probably talk a lot about it in the road.
Yeah, I'm more of a visual person. If I can see a graph, I don't know. I feel like that should be in every software package.
Yeah.
Show me graphs, because it's just much easier for your brain to wrap your head around it. So, well, good deal.
It's a tough thing for business owners too to understand. Like a lot of times we get into the technical jargon, and that's not really what interests them. They just need to know how it's impacting their business and where they're missing pieces of it to be more secure.
Good deal. So Kaseya now, speaking of acquisitions, has 13 brands, I think, under its Kaseya product name.
It sounds right. And then within a total of 40 business units. So, because there's multiple Datto business units, there's IT Glue's got several of them underneath it. So yeah, so it's a lot for us to learn. It used to be easy. I've been with Datto on the Datto side for like 9 years. It was pretty easy. You just had to know about BCDR and then learn a little bit of networking, and then Autotask, we had to learn about that. And now it's like, now you have to learn about every single product that's out there in the industry. So
well, that it's a lot. So, but I think that what is and I should have wrote this down. but what is the name of the Kaseya platform that has everything into one?
So that would be IT Complete.
IT Complete. Okay, that was, thank you. That was the name I was looking for. Can you tell us a little bit about IT Complete?
Yeah, if you want me to jump in there, Mike, I can.
Yeah, go ahead,
talk
Brian. Yeah.
about it a little bit. So IT Complete is, obviously we've made a number of acquisitions over the years, and typically the way products are integrated is through API calls, right? And
Yep.
we have these third-party integrations all over, and we still have that, of course. But the benefit of owning those products is that we own the code base, right? So we can integrate a lot deeper on the back end, owning that code base and making workflow integrations that really help put your technicians through a process, right? Like if you think about, closing a ticket from open to close and the amount of steps and different tools they have to use, we really simplify that process, make it more streamlined, and make your technicians way more efficient. So they can help that client out, take care of their problem, and move on to the next ticket in the day. And it really makes their life a lot easier.
Yeah,
Okay.
when you go, we're at events, our booth is all branded IT Complete. Our shirts will say IT Complete. Because I mean, just we got the IT Complete Tervis mugs, which hit. But also, when you think about it, Kaseya, still people think of business, products, right? PSA,
Sure.
RMM. This is now everything under that umbrella with a single pane of glass. So it's a single login. And everything, like essentially, like you said, is all workflow integration. So they're all working kind of as one product. So, we still open ecosystem. Obviously, we got to integrate with everybody. And the other question people ask is, does that mean, is IT Complete mean I have to move everything over? And that's not the case. Really, once you have two products, you're under the IT Complete umbrella, right?
Okay.
And then add to it, the benefits start to really start, multiplying as you add more products.
Okay, very cool.
I guess if I could jump in here, Scott, do you have any clue how many vendors the average MSP has?
No, not a bit, but you got my attention.
Throw me
How many
throw me a number.
vendors?
Take a
Probably
guess.
20.
So we've hit on the number as 17. So the average is 17, but that means anyone has between 13 and 25. And we like to say we take all those, put it under one, make it easier, right?
Yep.
And
Makes total sense.
The big ideas behind it.
Okay. Well, I've also seen this powered services. What is powered services and how is it different from IT Complete?
So powered services is actually, when I first saw it, it's a very awesome program. So it's a marketing platform. And for those that used to have Datto, we had this Market Now program. When we first were acquired and I started learning about it, it was actually created by Dan Tomaszewski, who's our EVP of channel enablement, and Gary Pika. And so it's a marketing platform, but it's also, there's a team of people behind it. So you'll have weekly calls with former MSPs to talk about how to set up an email campaign. You want to do a webinar, there's a team that can not only help you with that webinar, but actually help present on it as well.
Nice.
All the co-brandable materials are in there, different campaigns like that. It's when we talk to a lot, because I'm sure we'll talk about our MDF program, but we work with a lot of third-party consultants that are extremely expensive to do a lot of these things. This is a team of folks that are creating content every single week, and it's cool because we work closely with them because we both roll up to Dan. So I'm on weekly call, seeing the content that they make. That to me, it's one of the first questions I ask somebody, like, what are you doing for marketing? Are you working with third party? Have you talked to the folks over on Powered Services? I learned stuff just being on calls with them. It's a fantastic program.
Awesome. So is it kind of like a peer group too?
I wouldn't say a peer group, although we do see folks that are within Powered Services chatting with each other. There's connections made there, but it's more just that person, that kind of account manager that's going to help you have those calls, make sure you understand where all this stuff.
Gotcha.
There's so much content there that's kind of hard to sift through. So this team will help walk you through that. And there's content for every single one of our products in the product line. So, and it's end user facing, so super simple.
Okay. Well, that makes total sense now. Thank you for clearing that up. There's been a lot of buzz and buzzwords I've heard around Kaseya, so I just wanted to clear those up because I felt like if I was struggling to understand what it was, probably some other people were too. So, well, good deal. Well, you guys have a new revamped partner program too, correct?
Yeah. Yep.
Absolutely.
Just got off a call with Erica, who runs that.
Okay.
Yeah, well, basically what happened was, after the acquisition, we always took a lot of pride in the Datto side in our partner program, and Kaseya adopted that and then added to it. So
Okay.
it's an expanded partner program with the same bones that the original partner program had. So we're adding additional resources behind that. We're actually adding another tier coming up pretty soon, because it basically it's based on your total cost with all of the product line, right? So a bunch of people jumped up to our Blue Diamond because they had all these other products. So we're going to add another tier to it. But that's where things like your marketing development funds kick in. The free passes to our DattoCon and Connect Global. So yeah, it's really awesome. We take a lot of pride in it. I would put it, I think it's become kind of the model standard in the industry. I think a lot of folks are trying to adopt something similar, which is good. I mean, it's good for the whole channel.
Okay. Well, we are also Datto partners. And, one of the things that I remember back in the day, the Datto days, was that you guys would help your partners, if you had something to present, and I think that was the MDF program, still is Marketing Development Funds, correct?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep. And they actually, that's run by our team. So a gentleman by the name of Jason Price is one of the senior channel development managers, and all of us have gone out and done a bunch of them. I've probably done a dozen this year. I know Miles has traveled the world. Doty's done a bunch of them. So yeah, I mean, that's another program where Kaseya saw the value in it and doubled down on our budget. So we had $2.5 million to give out to partners globally. I think we've already about 1.8 was the last number. So we spent 1.8 million. And it's not just, all right, you hit a tier, here's your check. I mean, with that team, Jason's team and us, we'll get on calls and help plan the event with you, because we've got really detailed analytics on every dollar we spent for the last 8 years. So if you want to come to me and blank slate, I don't know what to do, I could tell you, hey, well, breakfast events have been working better than lunch and learns. That's not a gut instinct. We have the data behind it, right? Both in attendance and ROI.
Sure.
We'll come out and present. Here's some topics that have been good. Panels are now better than the click-throughs, like all of these things, and it's evolved. And you guys are, I guess, Miles and Brian, kind of newer to it, right?
Yeah.
You kind of got thrown in, but I threw Brian did one like day one, like, hey, Brian, go out and do that.
Yeah.
Well, I think as well with Scott not having done one, businesses like yours should look into it, like whether you bring me down to the Myrtle Beach Pelicans or the Greenville Swamp Rabbits or the Columbia Fireflies. Like, I want to come down, do an event in your backyard. You bring out some clients, you bring out some prospective clients. We get a box at a baseball game or box at a hockey game. We speak for an hour on what's going on in our world, and then we don't talk business after that. We have a good night, and then the next day you follow up with them, and hopefully something that Brian or myself or Mike has talked about will resonate with your clients. You go, you know what, I want to hear more about Vonahai, or that product, Bullfish for security awareness training.
Sure.
Or I want to learn more about email security. And so I've just been kind of thrown in the mix over the last few months, and I've got to do some great events. I know Mike was in Churchill Downs. Is that what you call it, Mike?
Yeah, I was we had an event with a partner out in Louisville. We did the Kentucky Derby. So they rented out, they run races like every day, the week leading up to it. And so that Wednesday we went and did some talking. We didn't even have a presentation, it was just mingling, and a couple other vendors were there. And we're real flexible. Like at that event, Mark DeWolf was there. Sure, bring another partner. I just did one in Chicago where I sat next to on a panel with Jay Ryerson from ConnectWise.
Oh wow.
Oh, good. Yeah. I mean, I know Jay, he's a good dude. Like, it was a good, so it's I think a lot of other vendors, I always tell partners, like, go ask. Your vendors are probably calling you all the time, right? Ask them, what kind of MDF funds do you have? What kind of program do you have? Because they're all starting to jump into it. So
okay.
It's free. It's basically free money to grow your business, right? Like, I know I was in Toronto last week, and we did one where we took a bunch of guys out to a Blue Jays game. I was in St. Louis in August, and they got a box at Shea Stadium, and we actually got to walk out onto the field, and we had one of the partners. You want to make sure a partner signs with you. You let that partner throw out the first pitch at a St. Louis Cardinals game. And you call them up the next day, and you're like, so what do you want to do now? So I mean, it's
that's awesome.
pretty
Yeah.
neat opportunity. And I mean,
Well,
you know, maybe
Miles-
it's just a lunch and learn, but maybe it's a sports game.
Well, Miles,
Yeah.
we'll have to schedule something at Segra Park here in Columbia, South Carolina for the Fireflies. So
Oh,
that's in
yeah.
my backyard.
Yeah, let's do it.
Nice.
Yeah.
I just did one in Allentown, Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania, last week. It was the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs minor league game. We had a room there, gave a quick presentation, some food. It was great. Immediately after that, the partner had one of his prospective clients come up and be like, I know you guys have been hammering on me about my security. We need to meet next week. And it was like,
That's
that's
awesome.
exactly what we're going for. That's, you know, and that's the way to drum up net new business opportunities to get people out to have a good time, relaxed atmosphere and environment. And it's not a high pressure sale. It's just more educational and
Yeah.
putting those nuggets of information out there.
Sure.
And then people get the idea
Yeah.
and they know whether they're doing these things or not in their business, and they'll talk to you.
And I gotta say as well, like people like to do business with people they like. And I mean,
Yeah.
Yep.
I know our team, we're good people. We're likable, right? I mean, if you ever have a beer with myself or Brian, you're going to come back with some good stories, or Mike or Jason or Taylor, or Scully. And I'm really missing an event this week. There's an MDF event in some random town in Western Texas, and I couldn't make it to it this week. And they're doing Texas Tech Oregon football game, college football game.
Oh,
And
wow.
there's supposedly going to be 85,000 there. And the rep reached out to me and like, you just didn't give me enough notice. I can't get to, you know, Western Texas this weekend. And, you know, there's some really neat things you can do, and people don't think about, you know, outside the box ways to grow their business. And that's what I think MDF is.
Well, I think it's really, really a great idea. Like I said, I've heard about it for a couple years now. The first I heard about it with Datto, and now it looks like Kaseya is just taking the torch and, you know, moving forward with it. So
Actually,
that's wonderful.
I got one more, Scott, which
All right.
forgot. I haven't even told Mike and Brian about. I'm going up to the mountains of Calgary in 3 weeks.
Oh,
And we're working with an MSP outside of Calgary, and he used to work in the film industry in India, in Bollywood. And
okay.
he worked on the launch of Top Gun 2. So he's very creative. He's got this marketing background. And we're doing a Halloween themed spooky whiskey tasting
Okay.
for his clients. And I'm like, this sounds amazing. So
That
and
is awesome.
He's pairing each whiskey with a different security product. So he's saying, you know, Jack Daniels is like the product that everybody needs because it's a whiskey that everybody has. Then he's like,
Sure.
then we have a product, like, you know, like a rare whiskey, which is kind of like our Vanahai, because it's like not everyone has pen testing, but they maybe want to learn more. And it's so neat that this guy's created this idea, and I just get to show up and you know, hang out with partners. So it's there's, you know, the world is your oyster when it comes to MDF.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So does Kaseya actually help the partner come up with ideas for the MDF?
We can. Yeah. And
Okay.
we do a lot of times, especially when somebody's really new with it. It's their first event. They're trying to figure out, like, when do I send the emails to invite people? You know, how, you know, what's this process? So that's also a great reason why you want to get into Powered Services Pro, because
Okay.
that success manager you have there will also help with some of those ideas and stuff. But ultimately, it's your event. It's the partner's event. You run it the way you want to. We're happy to be a part of it. We're happy to give you ideas and suggestions. But ultimately, at the end of the day, the success comes down to how the partner handles it, like making sure you get butts and seats, right? That's the big one. And then, are they people who have a need for your services, right? Are they the right people?
Sure.
Those are two areas I see where partners will slip up sometimes. But all in all, to make it a success, you know, you get a few opportunities out of it, even if you can help harden security for an existing client and just go a little
Sure.
bit deeper with them. It's a great way to get an ROI out of the event. So it works well for people.
So what is the best way that an existing partner can sign up for Powered Services?
Well, it's a
Sounds
great,
like a
it's
really-
a great question.
Really cool platform.
So
Yeah.
you can reach out to myself or Miles or
Okay.
Michael for that matter, and we'll connect you up with your account manager, and they'll do a little demo, show you how it all works, give you a preview behind the scenes. and then get you signed up for it. And same thing for MDF.
Very cool.
So if you're interested in doing an MDF event, same process. You want to talk to your account manager. If you're not familiar with them, we'll be happy to connect you up with them and make that process real easy for you.
I'd say the big thing as
Very
well,
cool.
we have to have a little bit of lead time. So say,
Yeah.
you know, you want to go to the Lexington County Blowfish baseball game, right? Look at me, just dropping the South Carolina.
I know. Like, have you been here before?
But I mean, you know, I always say, like, you know, everyone wants to do an NFL game, and you know what? For us to give you $15,000 to go and get a box, that's hard to do. But you know, to give you $3 or $4 grand to get an area at a, you know, a college baseball game or a college
Sure.
basketball game or a, you know, a minor league baseball game, you know, your money goes farther when it's not the NFL or the major leagues or hockey.
Sure.
And you know, if you take the opportunity through the account manager, you know, really, like, the opportunities are really endless. You know, what you want to do, depending, like I said, whiskey, if you want to do a dinner, if you want to do, you know, a top golf event, there's a lot of
Yep.
options there.
I'm doing one of those next
Have
week,
a
actually.
conversation. Even if you I mean, the best thing is get on a call and just brainstorm.
Yep.
So you could anybody can send an email. It's just mdf@datto.com still, and it'll go to
Okay.
that team. And then you just have a conversation. It doesn't, there's no commitment to it. And when you do it, it's a 1-page application. We try to simplify it, but usually we fill out the application with the partner just to make sure, like, so it's not, you know, we're getting a blind email with a form. Like, let's have a conversation so we understand what your ideas are. We could provide some ideas. We could tell you, hey, this doesn't work. We have the data to show it doesn't work. Doesn't mean we're not going to give you money. Why don't we spend money where it's going to work because it's beneficial? And
Sure.
for us, business, for it's the best way for us to invest our marketing dollars. We've tried a million different ways to get end user feeds and all these things, but as a channel only company, it's really hard to do that. For us, the more money we spend, we're at about 600% ROI on that 1.6. I just looked it up, $1.68 million we've given out.
Wow.
It's a 600% ROI right now. So for us, it makes a ton of sense. For the partner, it's essentially infinite ROI, especially if we're covering most of the costs. So
Sure.
it's a really great program. I'm real proud of it. And as I'm putting my budget together, trying to get more. So we'll see. I'm going to keep asking for more. But getting ROI, why would they not give it to us? You know?
Yeah, absolutely. No, that makes total sense. And that's something that I feel like if more partners knew about that opportunity, that, you know, they would be doing that a lot more. Like I said, I'd heard about it a couple years ago, but I really hadn't heard anything recently about that. So I'm glad that we're talking about the MDF program here and how Kaseya is moving it forward. That's great. I don't know any people with NFL box seats or anything, but I think that I really don't even know anybody with the local Fireflies box seats, but they do have a very nice park facility, Segra Park, and they do have box seats there. So I've never been in any. I've just went and attended with my wife and son and had a really good time, drank a few beers, and it was a good family outing. So
I'll tell you, one of the best MDF events I ever went to was here in Connecticut. There's a Bridgeport Bluefish. It's a minor league stadium right up the road. And what we did was we were doing our presentation, it's a group of lawyers in the box. And then on my laptop, the mascot, dressed up as a big bluefish, comes in with a baseball bat and smashed my laptop. And nobody knew what was going on. And then I virtualized it on the Datto to show, like, hey, I could pull this back up in 30 seconds. And it didn't matter what I said, they'll remember that. And then they showed that on the Jumbotron during the game.
I love that. How have I never heard that story?
Why did I know about this?
I could find that video. I'll reach out to the partner, Frank, and I bet you that I could get that video. It was pretty funny. We all act surprised. What's this guy doing? And he went to town on my laptop.
Well, it seems I was not a Datto partner at the time, but I heard about an instance a long time ago with Datto where they actually were in, I think, a hotel, and they caught the computer on fire, but I think that it didn't go out as planned.
Yep, that happened at one of our first trips ever to Australia. We were trying to open the office, and that was Rob Ray back in the day, my old boss, and they got this flash paper. They tried to bring flash paper on a plane. They didn't take it, so they had to find this flash paper. And apparently it was a little stronger than most, and it set the fire alarm off in the entire hotel.
Oh, no.
They had to pay a fine. So we don't like fires as much anymore. Baseball is a much safer move. So I'm more of a smash the laptop than light it on fire.
I got you. So no more pyro events.
No,
I
well, let's
gotcha.
go outside.
Wow. Okay. Well, what is the best event that you guys have attended? Speaking of events, I know you guys have DattoCon coming up here in Miami on October 2nd through the 4th. What's the best event that you guys have ever been to, attended?
Yeah, I mean, not to be biased about our events. You know, it was a really good event, and it's been around for 2 years. It's coming up in, I think they moved it to March this year. There's a conference called Right of Boom.
Yeah.
And it's all, you know, it's kind of vendor agnostic. All the big security vendors are there. The content is very security heavy. Like, instead of one of us presenting, you'll get a CISO out there from the big companies sitting on panels and things like that. The first year, 2 years ago, I had about 250. Last year I had about 700.
Wow.
And then this year, I guarantee you they're going to have over 1,000. That one has a really good buzz about it as a newer event. I mean, we do all of them. So you know, we were mentioning before the call. I mean, one of the benefits, we have sponsorships to 190 events globally this year. So we're everywhere, and most of the time we'll get free passes as part of our package. So reach out, or at least discounted passes. So reach out to us, any one of us, and I can let you know we have a code. But I don't know, you guys have been, you know, we all kind of divide and conquer. I only see these guys like once a year because we're all in different cities. So I don't know.
I gotcha.
What's been your favorite one?
I see. I mean, okay, so I'm gonna take a little step back, because I could obviously plug ours and say, you know, Jason Alexander, George Costanza was so amazing at Kaseya Connect this past year. I got to meet Nick Offerman, who's from Parks and Rec, who's one of my heroes, and I got to see Frank Abagnale, who is the man behind Catch Me If You Can, Leonardo DiCaprio. But
awesome book.
I'll go on a different tangent. I love seeing incredible speakers. Like, that's one of the things that, you know, from my last job in my previous life, I love seeing amazing speakers. Like, I got to see Andre Agassi talk, and probably everyone's like, well, who cares about tennis? I'm like, no, his story is unbelievable. And I got to see Eric Weinheimer at a conference, and Eric Weinheimer is the first man to hike the 12 highest mountains in the world.
Wow.
And you're probably like, wow, that's cool. But let me tell you this, Scott, he did it with one little issue, and that was that he was blind.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
And there was not a dry eye in that room after his talk. And I actually had to Google the one. I think this was maybe the first time I got to meet Mike a couple years ago. It was at an event in San Antonio, and I got to see Chris Peranto talk. And you're probably like, who's Chris Peranto? He was one of the special ops who was in Benghazi in Libya when everything went crazy, and they made that movie 13 Hours a few years ago with John Krasinski from The Office.
Sure.
Chris Peranto was the guy that John Krasinski played. And so for me, any event with powerful, incredible speakers is one that I love to go to, because, you know, you can drink and party anywhere, but
that's
to
right.
actually have someone who touches, you know, your heart and kind of gives you some insights you'd never have, that means a lot to me. There's my long-winded answer.
No, very cool. I'm just imagining the guy climbing the mountains, you know, that's not a tiny problem to have. I mean, that's huge.
Well, and I'll give you one of his jokes, not giving away his whole thing. People would say, aren't you terrified, you know, when you're doing this? And he's like, when you don't have to look down, it's pretty easy.
I guess you got a point. That's what they always say. If you're up high, don't look down.
Yeah,
that's right.
So well, how about you, Brian?
So yeah, I'm sitting here thinking, because we can't do our own events. That's not fair.
Well, you can. There's no rules here.
Yeah, we had at Connect last year. We had Terry Bradshaw, one of my longtime heroes, and his presentation was great. It was a little hard to follow at first. You kind of didn't know where he was going with it, and he landed the plane pretty well. But that was a pretty powerful one. Hearing good presenters. I always like boot camp, which is a Robin Robbins event.
Okay.
And the reason I like that event, it's bigger, but it's because of the sales and marketing aspect to it. And I know that's one area where MSPs struggle. And like the technical side, like most MSPs understand the technology. They're pretty technical guys typically. That side of things, like you can find your way, I think, pretty easily in this space.
Sure.
Yeah, there's good, better, best, that kind of stuff. There's different products out there. But when it comes to sales and marketing and trying to really grow your business, I do like that one. Of course, there's, Marketopia does GrowCon. That's a pretty good event as well. Jennifer Bleem has an event now to help. So it depends on like your style and kind of where you gravitate. But I like events where MSPs can walk away with some action items and say, hey, I'm going to go put these things into my business and see if I can grow the value of my business.
I think that's the biggest part is understanding, because all these events, they have a focus, right? So right a boom, if we want to bring your technicians or your business owner, you want to learn, that's what that audience is going to be. If you have somebody in the sales and marketing space, or you as a business owner are struggling with that, finding an event that focuses on that is key. What we try to do, because it's a large event, we have different tracks for all those things. So you can bring a tech and there'll be a tech track. You can bring somebody from your sales or marketing team and there's a marketing track there. But I think understanding the kind of what the theme of that event is dictates, what one you should go to, because everybody's looking to get something out of it. Even events ASCII and Channel Pro, where you just want to walk the vendor floor and meet all the new vendors. That could be it. Hey, I'm in the market for a new whatever RMM vendor. Well, they're all there and you get to talk to them. And I talking to partners, the ones that do go to events almost across the board will say the reason I chose the vendors that I chose is because I met them face to face at an event.
Right.
I do that all the time. So, and that's where most of my relationships with the MSPs have come from, is meeting them, talking business, and then, having some dinner with them or drinks or whatever, catching a ball game. Like, that's what this channel, to me, it's all about relationships. That's the end of the day. Technology is technology, but the relationships tend to be the stronger piece. At least that's what keeps our team employed.
Well,
yeah. And Mike hit on a great point. Like, if you think about ASCII's, Channel Pro events, we have Connect Locals. So, a lot of MSPs say, I can't travel. I can't take several days to be out of the office. What's going to happen to my business during that time? I get that. It's definitely a struggle for many, but a lot of times these events aren't that far away. Like a lot of times they're pretty regional, and you can get a lot out of going to an ASCII event or a Channel Pro event. Like Mike said, about seeing vendors face to face, getting to ask questions, develop those relationships, but also to network with other peers and find out what they're doing. The MSP I worked for, we used to kind of joke about it sometimes, because every like special case, we'd be reinventing the wheel and trying to figure it out on our own. But if we had a better network of MSPs that we were friendly with, we could ask the question to the group, and usually somebody's been there before.
And Scott, I just wanted to ask you, kind of jumping on Brian's point, because he mentioned Terry Bradshaw. Do you know who Terry Bradshaw was backing up at Louisiana Tech College when he was just before the NFL? Any clue?
No.
I don't know either.
He was the backup to a guy named Phil Robertson, who you guys are like, okay, who's Phil Robertson? He's the star of Duck Dynasty.
Okay. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
And I remember that was the one thing that resonated with me from Terry Bradshaw's talk. And he's like, Phil, natural talent, so much better. He was better at every part of being a quarterback. But what did I do as Terry Bradshaw? I worked harder. And that was the one thing, like the main point I took was, you don't have to be as good as the next guy or the guy in front of you, but if you work harder, you can, succeed. And that was so interesting to me that Terry Bradshaw told us story, because I'd never heard that before, that he was backing up the guy from Duck Dynasty.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah, it's quite the story.
Well, let's talk about DattoCon. I know that's coming up here right around the corner. Before we talk about DattoCon, I did have another question talking about the events. Let me backtrack a minute. So talking about all the events in the channel, here is my question. Is there a place that MSPs can go, that maybe not a part of Kaseya or anything, but is there a place that MSPs can go to find all those 190 events and see which one, like you were saying, Brian, is close in your area? That, okay, well, that's only an hour away. I think I can drive there in a day and take a day at least to go.
I would say, what place you can find most of them is the channel program.
That's
channelprogram.com.
Was I
Matt
was gonna say that.
Solomon and Kevin.
Okay. Yeah.
So they do a really good job of showing all the industry events. It's kind of on the right-hand side of their page. I don't know if they have all of them, but they tend to have, and it allows you, and we as a partner can go on there and say, hey, come see us at, ASCII, Alpharetta, or wherever we are. But I would check that. I think it's just channelprogram.com, right?
I think
I
so.
believe so.
Yeah, but check out, and that's where I met Matt, because he was on the road all the time. Great guy. That's another great program to take a look at.
Absolutely. Well, good deal. So, all right, back over to the DattoCon. So, the one thing that I remember for years and years is that is the premier event. There's a lot of cool things. It's the party event. In fact, I think you guys had Snoop Dogg one time as a keynote speaker, or actually just maybe I don't know about a keynote, but I think he definitely came on stage and dropped some gin and juice, right?
Yeah, that was probably the coolest thing of my career here in this industry, because there's only about 15 of us knew it. We didn't even tell the rest of Datto at the time. And so he came out on day 2 and did a song and introduced Austin McCord, who was the founder. And I got to be if you go to my Twitter, you can see a picture of me and Jay Price and Eric Torres and Snoop Dogg in the green room. It was a pretty cool experience. And then last year we had Shaquille O'Neal as a surprise. Yeah, he actually DJ'd and came for our big party at the end. So yeah, there's always those special little guests we have. Actually really cool to talk about good speakers. There was a guy, Mark Rober, who's a big YouTube star. He actually worked on the Mars rover. He's an engineer. It wasn't even a public speaker, but we asked him, he came out. Fantastic story. And my kids watch him because he's got all these weird little things that he does. And I was telling him backstage, I said, my kids love you. And he goes, you want to FaceTime them? And I texted my wife, I'm like, please tell me the kids are up. And we FaceTime in the green room with my kids. And that's something he grabbed my phone and he took a screenshot of it. It was the coolest experience. So
that's awesome.
It's always going to be fun. This year, we got more surprise guests that I'm not allowed to tell you about.
That was going to be my next question. Are we allowed to
I can
say
drop
anything?
one that I'm allowed to talk about.
Be careful. Go ahead.
Mike's like, don't get fired. Don't get fired. We've got the ex-president of Nintendo, who is going to be one of our keynotes. And his name, some people call him Reggie Nintendo, but his full name is Reggie Fils-Aimé. And he is, if you played Nintendo, if you watched what was going on in Nintendo in the early 2000s, he's the reason why they're doing so well, because Nintendo was going down.
Sure.
And I won't say he came up from the mailroom, but he came up from a very junior position and became the president. And it's such a cool, his story. I've watched him before. And when I got told he was the one who's going to be one of our keynotes, I was super excited. And Mike knows all the secrets that we can't talk about, but there's one more I can. We will definitely be going to the Kaseya Center, and we will be able to hang out with some of the NBA championship trophies. That I am allowed to say.
Awesome.
Yeah, that'll be our big party. We'll be at the Kaseya Center. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Okay. And is it a civic center type stadium?
It's a basketball arena. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Where the Miami Heat play. Yeah.
And it's actually got Kaseya on the side of the whole building.
Yeah. Yep. Yes. And on the floor. So we talk about, who has box seats, different things. I know somebody who's got box seats to the we get floor seats and box seats and all that. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I'm super excited about it. And I'm really glad again that even after the merger, this will continue. The plan is to always have 2 of these events. It's always going to be Connect Global out in Vegas in the springtime, and then DattoCon in the fall. So it gives us, every 6 months for us to provide, updates, us writing new announcements, those type of things, get in front of as many partners. One of the things that I think is really cool, and it's a Kaseya, strategy, is that all the executives are there and they spend their entire day with one-on-ones with partners. So you can talk, if you're a partner right now, you can talk to your account rep, and if you're going, try to set up a one-on-one. I mean, Fred spends his whole day. He'll give his keynote, and the rest of his time there will be spent talking with partners one-on-one, and they're called pulse checks. And there's notes taken in a whole follow-up structure. So you could vent frustrations. You can talk about, what we have on the roadmap and where that fits in. You have questions about IT Complete and the integrations and all that. That's a really, really cool feature. That this will be the real first time we've done it here. It's always been a part of Connect Global, but you know, I'm pretty excited about that aspect of it.
Sounds like a lot of fun coming up here in the next well, what do we got? Another
Less than a month.
month. Yeah, less
Less
than a
than a month.
month.
Yeah.
It's amazing
So
how quick it pops up. Yeah.
awesome, awesome. Well, we have an event at IT Business Owners Group. It is the cruise. We have our cruise coming up November 10th through the 13th. So pretty stoked and excited about that. Hopefully we can meet some members and share some ideas. And you know, I think it'll be a good opportunity for everybody. So
Nice.
You know what? I think I just had some openings in my schedule just pop up.
I know you want to come join us.
And Mike's smiling because he's like, you know what? Miles should probably get out during this cold winter in Canada and get down to the Caribbean. I'm pretty sure that's what he was thinking, right, Mike?
We'll discuss that offline, Miles. In our next
I'm rooting for you, Miles.
I think you're going to Alaska that day.
I wouldn't mind going to Alaska either. I've always wanted to go to Alaska.
Yeah, that would be good, but in November might not be great. I don't know.
Yeah, it might be a little cold. So, well, I'm certainly welcoming the colder weather coming. I know we were talking before the Zoom went live about, you know, how hot it's been this summer, and it really has been kind of oppressive, but kind of excited. You know, here in South Carolina, you can always tell when it gets colder, it's getting colder weather because the fair comes to town. So anytime we have the South Carolina State Fair, you know, okay, like when it starts, the first day, opening day, usually pretty hot. Everybody's wearing shorts, but by the end of the week, everybody's wearing jackets.
I
yeah.
can't wait for the leaves to start changing up here in Connecticut because it's been a long, hot summer.
Yes, it has. It has. Well, anything else you guys want to share new and fun about Kaseya and you know, what you guys are getting into lately, or
I don't know. I mean, right now, I think what I would like to touch on at the very end, and I think your cruise is a good example of it, is at the end of the day, the best thing of all these events is meeting other MSPs. That's learning from other people, learn from your peers. It's one of the really cool things about the channel. I've worked in several different industries. I've never seen an industry collaborate, even direct competitors collaborate like this industry does. So, and you make, you know, connections, and you never know where those are going to lead. It could be people break off and start their own little mini peer groups from people that they met at these events. You know what I mean?
That's right.
So, that's what I would say. If you're going to take something out of it, don't sit at the cocktail party on your phone. Go introduce yourself to somebody. You know, and, it's kind of a lost art form nowadays of just like talking to somebody that you never talked to before. That, to me, that's the biggest takeaway is, you know, that's where the real value comes from.
Yeah, no, totally. All the events that I've been to, I really made some excellent connections. And Michael, that's a great point. You know, it's all about the connections and helping each other because we're all in the same boat. We're all trying to grow our business as MSPs. So, you know, that's kind of the reason I started IT Business Owners Group to begin with over 8 years ago. So, you know, we started this because I didn't feel like I could go locally to my competition and ask them, hey, what do you guys do for this situation? You know, they would laugh at me and tell me, oh, just send your customer to us and we'll take care of them. And that was never never an option. But, you know, you throw social media into it and it's a totally different ball game because then it's kind of like everybody's in a competition to get to the right answer and give you an answer that's correct and gets 1,000 likes. So, you know, it's been really cool. So,
you don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's, you know, there's people out there with great ideas. That's the one thing for if it's a new MSP, I say find a peer group. I don't know anybody who regrets being part of something like what you're doing or anything like that. Like if you've got time to spend to grow your business, like that's where you should do it. Because almost all successful MSPs that I've talked to have had a mentor or somebody to lean on and have those conversations. It's would be my number one recommendation before you even start vetting vendors. And I shouldn't say that as a vendor, I guess, but go, you know, go join a peer group, talk to other MSPs and see what they're doing.
Perfect. Well, listen, if we have anybody watching the live stream here and they are interested in learning more about Kaseya and the 13 different brands under the umbrella, what's the best way for them to reach out and get in touch with your team?
Maybe we could all throw our in the chat on the Facebook page, but any one of our direct emails. I mean, I think that's the easiest way. Instead of going to info at, you could, I'm mdepalma@datto.com. Everybody's got different domains, so I don't even know off my head, Miles, but we could throw those in the chat. And just reach out directly to us. Again, if MDF questions, you could go to mdf@datto.com or send a note to any one of us. So.
All right. And I will also go further to say, and I am connected with all these guys. So if you need help getting connected, reach out to me and I'll put you in touch with them.
Yep,
So
happy to help.
That's awesome. Well, guys, thanks so much for your time today. We'll have to do this again soon.
Anytime.
Absolutely.
Good time. Thank you.
All right. Y'all have a great day.
Thanks, Scott.
Thanks again. All right. Bye-bye.